Hello, everybody. How are you? Good evening. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday, almost Friday. Roxanne, I don't know if I got your email. Not sure. If I did, if it was a question, I sent it on to Adam, so he's got it. So welcome, everybody, and I'm going to get right to the questions, and I'll do name checking at the end. That's how we do it around here. You can find out anything that I do or have at intuitiveview.com. You can join the club by hitting the join button. We do movie discussions, spiritual discussions. I do mini readings there, so look it up if you want, or hit the join button if you want to do that. Okay, and we will get on with the shoe. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Will Steve Bannon turn himself into police by July 1st, or will authorities have to issue an arrest warrant? Okay. I see him going in. I don't even have to do that. I see him going in, and he does kind of a Trump thing where he turns around and, this is a sham and this is blah, 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 has his, puts his 2 cents in and goes in. I see it pretty uneventful in a lot of ways. I feel like he just turns himself in, but he's got to, run his mouth before he goes in, and then that's it. So yeah, I can feel it's kind of a little uneventful, which is fine. A non-event. But I don't feel like there's like tons of people there or anything like that. I just feel like he just kind of gives his 2 cents and goes away. From Australia, will American women turn out in large numbers to defend their right in November and save America? Okay. Well, they're saving America right now because, as far as I can see, it's all women that have been taking Trump down. Besides Alvin Bragg, he's in the mix as well. But women have been the ones doing all the stuff. Jack Smith, I guess. But okay. Okay, well, I'm getting that they do. They show up in historic numbers. So it's not even, a question as to whether they're aware, engaged. Part of it, it's clear. They're absolutely going to turn out. And I actually feel like the Democratic Party is going to do a really good job at organizing women to get out. I feel like they have a lot of women that are going to be speaking, a lot of women going around the country, a lot of people, because I'm seeing like Michelle Obama and, Kamala Harris and different, even like Stacey Abrams. I'm just seeing lots of like prominent Democratic women going all around the country and kind of organizing and making sure that people understand what's going on, that they know how to vote where they are. They know it's almost like an education feel to it. But it's all part of the campaign. It's all part of their strategy. So yes, I feel like the organizing of it is going to be there, and then they're going to turn out. So yeah. How does Ruth Bader Ginsburg feel about the overturning of Roe and the current state of SCOTUS? Is she trying to help influence from the other side? Okay. So I won't go into like a full channeling just because these are all kind of like what, I have several questions to do. Um, but I'm going to get a feel for. So I feel like she's kind of differentiating herself here and her there, like two different. And this is my persona as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is my soul as the soul of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So, but it's kind of like if I were here, I would be outraged. I would be so upset. I would be this and that. And she's saying, but from here, I can see the bigger picture, and I can see it's all going to be okay. And that this is a okay. She's talking about that sometimes when something is handed to people, sometimes they don't appreciate it in the same way, and that this isn't their fault. It's what they know. So they don't know what it's like to be without something if they've always had it. She's talking about this in terms of like money. If you were born with money, you don't know. It doesn't mean you're a stingy, awful person. It just means that that's the limit of your experience, and you really don't know what it's like to have to earn money. And so you treat money differently, and you take things for granted that other people that maybe had to earn every dollar would not take for granted. And she's saying this is what's happening here, is that there has been a little bit of taking this for granted, because not only has it been in place for a long time, but a lot of people that fought for it are older now. And so they're not really there. She's really pointing to my age, because she's saying this is where the not disinterest, but the disengagement started. The disengagement with politics started with the Gen Xers. So she's saying this is kind of when it's like everything's pretty good, so I'm just going to step back and just let things be as they are. And so there was some disengagement there. And she's saying that's a recipe for forgetting where we were, forgetting how we got here. And then that also involves not appreciating. And she's saying that this is, this happens sometimes in cycles, and that it's to reinforce something and reinforce how important something is, and reinforce how important it is to make it cemented in. And so she's like, it will be cemented in, and people will realize it. And she's saying this is going on in other areas too. Voting. She just said voting. So that's another area where this is happening too, kind of having to fight for it again. And then once that is done, then really cementing it in. So that's where she is. But if she were here, she would have been outraged and so upset and so angry and stuff. But there, she's like, I can see the ebb and flow of this, and I can see why it's happening, and I can see where it's going to go. So all is well. All is well, even though it does not seem all well. All is not well, but it will be. It's appreciating it and fighting for it again, and then cementing it in. We're going to do it. How does Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, really feel now that the New York case is over and they lost? He's a little like, I was trying to get a read on his energy. His energy is a little bit different because again, when I go in and I expect one thing, but I get something else, that always lends validity for me as a reader, because I was expecting him to be like, either hating Trump, like thinking he's the worst, or being like sycophanty, kind of like trying to please him. But neither one. I'm getting him more as a hired gun. He sees himself as, I'm hired to do a job. It's dispassionate to me. It feels very, it's like not soldier, but kind of like that idea that he's just kind of doing his job. And that's why you didn't really see, you saw his like grumpy face there for the camera, but that's why afterwards you didn't see him really being, really, really angry. Like, the other lawyer, Jenna. No. Who is the other lawyer he had, Adam, that left? That would rather be pretty than smart because she can fake being smart, supposedly.
Alina Harper, who's neither.
Alina Habba. I'll let Adam do the low blows. Alina Habba. So someone like that who went out and like was totally angry and fighting for him and being, he doesn't feel like that at all. He feels like he was hired to do a job. And I feel like he felt like his hands were tied, like my hands are tied. So his hands were tied. He tried to do his job, but his hands were tied. And that's just the job because this is the client. And it's very like he was hired to do a job. That really is all there was to it. He may or may not stick around. He might be like an advisor or something. I don't know if he'll be like because I feel like in a way, Trump kind of liked working with him because I think he felt he was competent. But I also think that he can't, he obviously can't take the blame himself, even though he's the one that made them go with the strategy they went with. He can't be angry at himself or put himself down. So the blame's got to go somewhere. So he may get rid of him just to prove to himself that he wasn't to blame. It was his lawyer. But I feel like they pretty much kind of got along. I don't really feel like there was a whole lot of like tension or pushing and pulling or anything like that. He seemed like just a soldier, like just doing his job. Yeah, that's what I got. That's weird. That was not what I expected. Rents are still rising rapidly post-COVID as government assistance evaporates. How do you see this continuing? Yeah, I've been getting a lot of feelings about kind of something breaking with that, or just recently. So let me see what's going to be happening with the housing crisis. Okay, so what I'm getting is it kind of feels like this time next year, something being enacted I keep hearing subsidies. I feel like there's going to be a whole bunch of things like government programs put in. It's actually really, I think it's going to be really, really smart and successful. But it's like a whole bunch of like perks for people to bring in, like have a certain amount, almost like a Section 8 here. I don't know what it's called around the United States, or if that is the US thing, but where it's certain amount of apartments or a certain amount of housing is low income. but the government is going to give not only like we'll pay this, but we'll also give you this perk as well. And if you go to solar, we'll give you this perk. And if you go to this, we'll give you this perk. A lot of things to lower costs, but at the same time, upgrading our systems, creating more jobs. It's all intertwined. It's all linked up together so that it's like the money is flowing. It intermingles. The government, it goes into the private sector, and the private sector is helping with, funding programs and things. I feel like there's going to be a lot of safety nets put in place that just aren't there right now. But a lot of it's like perks. There's also, just FYI, there's something coming with that has to do with education as well. That's going to be part of this, or I don't know if it's the same thing, but it's kind of similar, where there are perks and things for letting students in at a lower rate, letting them come in for it, giving them free tuition, like grants, almost like government grants, but they'll be all over the place. And yeah, a lot of cool stuff is coming, but I feel like it does reach it's almost like a breaking point. And then they enact this kind of, it feels like a big package. It feels like a big thing. It's like this big umbrella. But it feels like about this time next year. So that's what I got. Yeah. Alice asked how the MAGA is party. Wait, the MAGA is of the MAGAs, like MTG and Jim. Oh, I see. The MAGAs and MAGAs. Like MTG and Jim Jordan are received at home by their families and children. Okay, so they're like people personally, I think. Well, so I was like looking at MTG and these two specifically, but then they kind of opened up to the other ones, like what's his name? Marco Rubio and those other ones. And I felt like some of the kids that are kind of older kids, like college age stuff, are very ashamed, embarrassed. There are several. It's not just like one in one family. It's like there are several that are like, this is bogus and terrible, and I don't like it. There are other ones, though. There are other family members that are kind of like, we just don't discuss it. We just don't talk about it. Some are on board, obviously, some are on board, but some of them are kind of like, we just don't talk about that. We don't make it part of our world. That's her job, or that's his job. Among the like adults, like the spouses and like their friends and stuff, I feel more of a on board kind of feeling. It's the younger people that are kind of like, and kind of other like family members, like maybe aunts or cousins or whatever. It's kind of like we tolerate it, or we just don't talk about it. The kids, there's like some that are just like, I don't like it at all. And some that kind of are just not engaged with it. Just like, oh, my dad's a politician. I don't know what he does. And then, yeah. And then there's this whole, like the cohort, of the actual politician, the spouses, the friends, their age, they seem more on board. And that's just kind of a blanket kind of overview. Yeah, I could go family by family, but it would take forever. But they're giving me kind of just an overview of how, what it looks like, you know, in their home. So there have been, though, I'm seeing like I think it's Ted Cruz fighting with a younger girl, and I feel like it's a constant like butting of heads. So there are those types of things happening in some of these families, but that's kind of just a blanket overview. So I hope that answers that question. Trump keeps calling for his supporters to do something, do something to stand up for him. Do you think any of them will pull another January 6th? Ask about that. It always seems like smaller things, little pockets of things, kind of like what we saw outside when he got sentenced, or, you know, or not sentenced, got convicted. A few people being all, you know, it seems like small little things like that. There's some things around the convention that feel kind of weird around the Democratic convention. It feels a little bit just chaotic, a little chaos. So they might send it kind of like how when we have protests and they send in bad actors to kind of mess, you know, so there might be people sent in to kind of disrupt things or make things more confusing or something. So I feel something about that. I also feel like I feel more stuff coming in from the outside in, like other countries trying to mess with stuff, disrupt things and make things confusing. So that's what I'm getting for that. So I'll just leave it there. But that's kind of what I'm getting. Do you see any major upset at the GOP convention in July, given Trump will be sentenced 4 days before? I mean, it's just, you know, it's just so comical and so weird. Okay. So let's look at that. I do feel like there are a lot of like anti-Trump people there. I feel like it almost feels like half and half or 60-40. It feels very split. I think I said this before, that it kind of reminds me of the Democrats in 2016, where you had the Hillary and the Bernie thing going on. It feels like that. And I feel like there might even be some fights that break, like physical fights that happen. The whole thing, it feels like if you were in the room, you'd feel like it was ready to erupt. The anger is so palpable. Everybody's angry, not necessarily all about the same thing, angry for different reasons and in different ways. And you can understand why that is, right? Because that's all they do, is try to make their people more and more and more angry. And I feel like if you were there, it would feel like you were in this volcano ready to erupt. So I feel like it will be the angriest convention we've ever seen. But I feel like it will kind of spill over into some fights. And I feel like some like disruptions and like heckling and stuff like that. It's going to be like a bad look. To me, it feels almost like people are like, what a mess, how embarrassing, what a mess. What have we come to? What is this? It looks bad. So that's kind of an overview. And as we get closer and people get organized as what they're going to do because I feel like things are brewing right now as to what people are actually organizing to do. As we get closer, we'll be able to feel it out a little better. But yeah, Connie B says chaos. That's a really good, and I would add in angry chaos is what I would say, because it just feels very, like I said, I don't think you'd want to be in the room, especially as an empath. Can you imagine? Yeah, it's going to be a lot. Do you foresee a Trump switch at the upcoming RNC convention in July? Will moderates try one last push? Okay, let's see what that looks like. I actually do. I feel like this, how they go around and ask each state, do you support blah, 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 blah. I feel like it's like boos and heckling and angry, like don't, I feel like there is kind of a last stand. And I feel like they really feel like not just kind of losing their party, but that they'll lose the country. They do feel the weight of this. Some Republicans do. And it's probably about, like I said, it feels almost like 60-40. It feels like kind of an even split almost. So, and as we get closer, back with the, what's her name? Haley, he hadn't been convicted yet. And there's also more that's going to happen, right? So, we still have people right now kind of leaving his, leaving his side and being like, no, I'm not going to do this. It feels like about 60-40, maybe 70-30, but more like 60-40. It feels pretty evenly split. It doesn't feel like, and to me also, it doesn't feel normal at all. We're going to see stuff we've never seen. We're going to hear stuff we've never heard. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be mean. It's going to be completely out over the top and outrageous. And I think in their own silo, it's like, this is normal. This is what we do. We just say weird stuff and crazy things and violent things. But to people that have been checked out or that aren't really paying attention until the conventions are going to be like, what is going on? What am I watching? What is this? So like I said, it's going to look really bad to just regular people. They're going to be like, what is this? I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what's going on. So yeah, so that's what we've got to look forward to. Isn't that interesting? Laura said she keeps hearing about the right wanting to repeal the 19th Amendment, women's right to vote, will this become an official part of the GOP platform? That would be really, really dumb. However, they seem to do lots of dumb things right now. They're not at the top of their game right now. So let's find out. It's you know what, it's like a small, it feels like flat earthers almost. It's kind of like this small, kind of obnoxious group that they're just, you know, whatever, they're misogynists or whatever their problem is, but it just feels like a small little tiny group that is maybe gets the media's ear for a day or two or something like that. It doesn't feel like any kind of big thing. It feels like a small little pocket of something. So yeah, I don't think it's anything that will be taken on board seriously. Does MTG like it when she's booed on the street like she was recently? Does she think she's a wrestling villain? Okay. Yeah. Well, it's performance art, isn't it? That's what or performance yucky, performance gag. It's yuck. I'm getting, my guides are funny, but they know they pull out the perfect things to let me know exactly what it is. There's a scene in the movie, It's a Wonderful Life, when Mr. Potter is talking about the people of the town. And he said, I know what they think of me and they hate me and I don't hate, and I hate them. So, I don't care, something like that. But it's that kind of attitude. It's like the people that she's inflaming or fighting against, she really does see as an enemy. So she's like, if they hate me, then I'm doing my job. If they don't like me, then that's good. So in a way, it does feel like it's kind of like, good, I'm glad, I don't care, that kind of thing. It feeds into her own narrative of what she thinks people are like. I'm getting to that. She doesn't really. It's a little like Trump, actually, where it's kind of like all people are awful. All people are, they're just, if they're being nice, or they're just pretending because they're not really nice. It's this idea that I'm being real. At least I'm being true. At least I'm saying what I really think. They just hide and act like they don't think this way, but they do. It's a way of excusing their awfulness, to tell themselves that everybody's awful. And when people do that, it kind of feeds into her idea that everybody's awful. It's really sad. I find it really, I find it really a really sad way to think and to feel. And also what a scary, it's all based in fear. Obviously, it's all based in fear, but what a scary way to live, to think that just everybody's awful, and at any point anyone's trying to take your stuff or take things away from you, or out to get you, or it's such a paranoid. I would say that's a good, paranoid and cynical and mean. That's kind of it, but it's a viewpoint. It's the way they see the world. And to me, it's very sad and depressing. It's weird. It's based in a way to make themselves feel like their awful behavior and the way they feel and think about people is totally normal. They need a psychiatrist. That's what it is. They need help. It's not normal. But then they've come with all these other people that feel that way too, and they make them feel like, yeah, you're not bad. You're just voicing your opinion. You're just whatever. They're creating this. It's almost like a group of very angry, paranoid, mentally ill people that have found each other. But it is kind of like that. They need help. They need help in dealing with whatever happened to them, or why they feel this way, what trauma, what damage. They're damaged people that need help is what it is. But in this country, they can hold some of the highest jobs in the land, and so yeah, that's and this is for, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a psychiatrist, but that's what it when I feel it and when I go into these energies and stuff, that's what it feels like. But it's also real, very real to them. It's very real to them. So I say, because I, started by saying it's performance art, it's an act, but for her, it kind of is, in that she plans. Clearly, she plans these, these grandiose, ridiculous things that she says and does. They're all planned. So in that way, it's performance, but it is based in how she feels and what she thinks. And we know, thanks to Mary Trump writing her book, we know where Trump's damage comes from. That guy had. When you're raised by two sociopaths, so, but they need help. They need help. They don't need to be put in positions of power to be able to create situations where their view of the world can be, they can feel like they're proven right, They need the opposite of that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Laura Trump has been directing a lot of the GOP fundraising to paying for Trump's legal defense. Will the GOP convention in July be marked by homemade signs and cash bars and car wash drives? I mean, right? I know they had, and they're going to use these court cases in Bannon. That's why it's probably going to be, I'm going to jail, everybody. Go visit my website and give to my, it's all good fundraising, stuff. So they've found a way to use all of this for fundraising, right? So when this is all over, because I have always felt they were going to lose everything yet again. They're going to lose the House, they're going to lose the Senate, and they're going to lose the presidency. And I feel like after this, there's a lot of internal finger pointing. And I feel like that's one of the places. I feel like almost immediately she's gone. Like almost immediately afterwards, she's out of the, I feel like there's going to be some, there's not going to be nothing normal about this election. It's going to be them saying, this was stolen and that was stolen, and it's going to have to, as we did before, work through the courts, whatever. But once that is kind of coming to an end, it's internal finger pointing. And I feel like that is when the Republican Party kind of disintegrates as we know it. I've always felt there'd be kind of an ending and kind of a rebuilding that happens. And that's, I feel, the time when it starts, really when you can start to see how it crumbles and how it might be rebuilt. Because I feel like there's a lot of finger pointing, and a lot of people that you hear from all the time are going to lose their jobs. A few of them are going to jail. So I feel like it's far from over, right? And I feel even like now a lot of things are going to happen before the actual election. So we're going to see a lot of things happening. But yeah, so that's what I'm getting. A story broke this week that Trump has bribed people testifying for him. Cushy jobs, promotions, bonuses, etc. Will this story die or gather force? Okay. I feel like we might hear more about this, but it does seem split to me. It feels like we'll hear some things about and it doesn't feel like these big giant revelations. It feels like, oh, of course, typical. That sounds about right. That kind of thing. And it feels more like it's in the more leaning to the left or center. I feel like the other side doesn't even it's not even there. It's like I said, it's their own kind of like little universe over there, and it doesn't even make a blip. But other outlets are aware of it, and also to me it does bring up some interesting conversations about what is bribery, so it might eventually help to change some things. I don't know, in the courts or in the laws or something, but it doesn't feel like it's this huge thing. It feels like it's just kind of like discussed, talked about, and it all comes out basically. So. Okay, the stock price for DJT is currently $45.95, which is up from a low of 22.84 in mid-April. The company has very little revenue. Do you think his backers, maybe countries, are supporting the stock? Okay. What's dead money? Is there a phrase called dead money?
That's not a term I'm familiar with.
I just heard that. I feel like it is.
Oh, I don't know what relevant this is, but it's apparently a slang term used in poker. Or,
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
What I'm getting, this is kind of so I don't know anything about this stuff, so I'm okay.
Sorry, just to let you know, dead money is a slang term for an investment that's failed to show any significant growth or value for a substantial return or protracted period. So it's dead on, actually, because if you never expect a company to have any value, which I don't for his,
Right.
social media company, it would be dead money. It's money you invest that basically it becomes a zombie, and you never see a return.
Yeah, because that's so that's I mean, that's almost exactly what I'm feeling, is it feels like this war, and it does feel foreign to me. It feels like foreign money. It feels like Russia. It actually feels like China. But it's like, it's in there, but it's like, it's gone. They don't expect anything back. It's just in there to be in there. It's in there to look like something. It's not real. So that's what it is. So I guess to the countries, it's dead money. It's just like they're just throwing it in to throw it in and make it look like something it's not. So that's what I'm getting. So that's what's happening. For entertainment purposes only. I don't own stock anywhere. I don't know anything. But that's what I'm getting. And so that's what happened. That's what's happening. And this kind of thing is the least of the stuff we're going to see. It feels like the foreign stuff coming in to assist these people, because it's not just Trump's last stand, right? It's Putin's last stand. There's a lot is riding on this election that's going to affect a lot of people in a lot of ways, and so they're going to throw everything at us. And to me, it more feels like cyber stuff, like security stuff, like misinformation stuff. It feels all in the cyber world. It doesn't feel like it's, actual people on the ground disrupting stuff, although there may be that, I don't know, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's all online or I even felt something coming up with the airlines that felt like it's like a disruption, like to blame Pete Buttigieg, and like it's to get people like, oh, now this has happened. Oh, Biden. Now this has happened. Oh, Pete Buttigieg. But it doesn't feel like an airplane thing. It feels like all the systems go down or something, and everyone's stuck for a day or two or something like that. It feels like it's just, but it's to create that kind of that chaos. Adam grew up in in England when all of the IRA stuff was going on, and they wouldn't really, I mean, Adam can speak to this, but they wouldn't really do things to kill anybody. It was just to disrupt. It was to make things chaotic. So, and I feel like that's what it is. It's to just disrupt everything and make people anxious and nervous and angry at Biden and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of it, they're going to head it off at the pass. We're going to hear about it afterwards, and they'll say this happened, but we caught it and it's done, because I feel like they're on top of all of this. I even got this term. It was, I was in the kitchen and I got this term. It was like hackers or something like that. And it's like a team of people they have to like hack hackers and get like information from the hackers before they can hack. It was almost like and to me it felt kind of like almost like a secret division or something. So we may find out or hear about those people kind of uncovering or thwarting things before they even happen. But I also just FYI, because it feels like it's a lot and it's going to be a lot. But that's why it's really important to stay really focused in on your own stuff. Check your resources, know what you're talking about, know where you're going to vote, and then tell Grandma Mary and tell Aunt Judy or whatever. It's like, take care of your own circle. And if everybody can do that, we will be fine. If you're able to go and work at a polling place or do those kinds of things, do. But if you're like, this is all freaking me out and I don't know what to do, stay focused in here and know exactly how to do what you need to do, and stay on top of it, and don't get freaked out. Don't get freaked out. This is what, like I said, they're fighting for their places. They're fighting for, all the nonsense stuff they want. They're fighting for their, keeping like Alito and what's his face, keeping dark money, and they're all fighting for the things that they want. And so it'll get ugly, but we can withstand it. We can. There's more of us. That's the bottom line. There's just more of us. So we can do this. It's going to be okay. We just need to, stay focused. That's it. Just stay focused and let the people that are going to be in those jobs of protecting us do their job, because they've got it. They really, really do. We're going to hear about a lot of this stuff after they've thwarted it and it didn't happen. But I feel like the onslaught is just going to be massive. So, yeah. And if also people send you stuff that you're like, I know this isn't true, write them back and say, this isn't true. This is Russian, whatever, let people know. If you know that they've come across something that is misinformation. I had to do this with, Cassie and James are in the UK and they were talking about a story. And I said, no, that's Russian propaganda. And she's like, oh, okay. and that was it, but do that. If you know something is wrong, let them know. Yeah.
FYI, Kim, Trump is just like 60 miles away in San Francisco.
I'm going right now.
Do you want to go get a dinner? It's a $500,000 per couple. So if you got 250,000, I'll take out a loan for the other 250,000, and we'll go see him and be all like, totally worth it.
We have to deliver this message. It's important. We have to get in. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Is Matt Gaetz getting closer to facing accountability for his alleged sexual encounters with an underage girl and trafficking across the state lines? Entertainment purposes only. Yeah, let's look at Matt Gaetz. That's my sister's nemesis. She's always asking about Matt Gaetz. She's like, when is Matt Gaetz going down? Okay, so let's look at Matt Gaetz. I lovingly call him Potato Head, but let's look at Matt Gaetz, because I am that petty and small when I get so angry. Okay. There's some families pushing. Yeah, these charges are coming back. They're coming back. I've always seen them coming back, but I feel like there's a family or families behind this push. So, family or families. Yeah, this might even come up before the election. It kind of feels like it's soon. We'll keep an eye on this one. This one feels like it's coming up soon. For some reason, it feels like it's like soon. I keep getting a family or families. Yeah, this is coming back around, you guys. I feel like there's, something comes out that's, it almost feels like new information about this old thing. So I'm not sure exactly. I'm getting a little bit. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this, but I feel like something's coming soon. Because it feels like it's before the election. And something's going to come out about somebody standing in the way of him having to be accountable. I feel like it feels so much like that first Epstein thing where they stopped him from, he only got a slap on the wrist and then it all came out. It feels a lot like that. So I think there's going to be a whole story around this that comes out.
Maybe it'll end the same way as it did for Epstein.
And maybe it will. Adam, maybe it will.
By the way, when you look up Matt Gaetz and then just blank on Google, top 2 results are Matt Gaetz, sex predator, Matt Gaetz and his young pool boy. And then finally Matt Gaetz' wife, net worth, height, father.
Oh, not Potato Head?
And not Dead Elvis.
Okay, well, Oh, Sandra said his dad saved him the last time. Interesting. Has Judge Eileen Canna finally overstepped with her invitation to outsiders for amicus briefs related to challenging the Jack Smith? God, she's so... Social prosecutors' involvement in this case. Let's see. She's going to be investigated. So I just saw people in her office, looking through stuff. So there's going to be some kind of looking into her, investigation with her. I don't think it's a search and seizure or search thing. Like a FBI raid or something. But I saw people looking through all of her stuff, and I feel like looking through her office. So I feel like she's going to be investigated or looked at or something. So I feel like they're on it. Yeah. Do you see Tulsi Gabbard? Gosh, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Tulsi Gabbard appearing anywhere on the Trump ticket or a future administration, God forbid. She's... Something's coming up around the military. So I don't know, maybe her name is floated for some kind of military thing. And not that to me, it doesn't feel serious. It just feels like her name is floated because you know how they have to kiss up to women. So they have to throw women out there or put a woman in a kitchen or they have the most obvious, ridiculous ways of trying to pander. And I think it's one of those things. I think maybe her name will come up or be floated for the first female, whatever in the military, something like that. So don't be surprised, but also don't worry about it because it's not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. But I feel like she's used to kind of, oh, see, we're pro-women. We like women. Look, there's a woman right here and we're going to put her in charge of men. Isn't that amazing? So yeah. Don't be surprised if you hear something like that or something comes up, but don't worry about it. It's nothing. How do you see the Hunter Biden case resolving? Will he go to prison or otherwise face a hefty punishment? Okay. It feels a little like it's like it's over the top, but it doesn't feel like jail. It feels like maybe probation, community service, a fine, that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's like if this were anybody else, it wouldn't result this way. But so in a way, it's over the top, but it's not prison sentence. It feels more. And Connie B also sees him going on probation. So yeah, it's something. It feels. Even that feels a little ridiculous, but it isn't prison. That's not what I'm getting. I'm getting more probation or community service, or and maybe a fine money.
How are you doing, Kim? We're at the hour, but I've got a few more questions.
Yeah, we can do. Let's just do another one, and then we can save the other ones for next time.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't mind. Do you foresee humanity becoming more tolerant of all ethnicities and races in the future? Does Trumpism play a part in this? Okay. I just heard we have no choice, and I feel like there's going to be things happening in the world that force us to kind of put those petty differences or petty things aside. We've already seen some of them, right? We had a worldwide pandemic, and I also feel like a lot of really deep seated, like, we there are places that have extremism. There are places that have like kind of generational, like kind of ancient, feuds and stuff like that. But on the whole, we are getting more tolerant and more accepting because I'm to be frank about this, but we're mixing more. Where people are living and out, and all over the world, and people can travel all over the world and be all over the world, and we're just becoming more connected and blended with one another. So it's going to keep happening. That is going to keep happening more and more and more, and so it's inevitable. Basically, it's inevitable. But they're also saying, my guides are also saying that there are going to be world events that also kind of accelerate this. And we went through one. It was the pandemic, right? And what did that do? It threw everybody online. And now we could connect all over the world with people all over the world. That's how a lot of these communities were born, was during the pandemic. A lot of these communities expanded during the pandemic. And I know for sure we have people from all over the world. I just received a package out of nowhere from Zambia. And it was just this nice community member that's like, oh, I thought you'd like some coffee, and here's a scarf, and it was just the sweetest, kindest thing. But I would never know that person if it weren't for this community and for the way that it grew and the way that we all kind of grew our communities together during the pandemic. So there are going to be events is what the guides are saying. And in our future, there's going to be world events that force us to put these petty things aside and to awaken more, become more kinder, become more generous, become more available to one another. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So that's that. And that's that. We will end on that note. And so say I. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for your help. And thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out. It's always just a pleasure. We had a heat wave this week, so it's been a little bit, we've gotten very little sleep. We've been kind of up and down, and it's been kind of crazy. So, but we're here, and I'm always happy to hang out with you guys and see you guys. And I will do name checking now. And yeah, if you want more of this, join the club, join a class, have, just kind of hang out even more if you like it. Okay. So thank you everybody for coming and hanging out on a Thursday night. Oopsie. Oh, and I also have the Sunday show too, which is not politics, but it's a nice breather. You know, it gives us, I always think of it as kind of like a tune-up, you know, to kind of face the next week of whatever's going to be happening. Okay, so Innocent Potato, what a cute name. Melissa Miller, Craig Dixon, so nice to see you. Thank you so much. Adam, Patty, Adam, thank you. And all of the people who, Connie B, and people who jumped in, and I know Seascape's always there, and Sandra in Connecticut are kind of always, you know, helping with the greetings and organizing. And so thank you so much. Sparky, thank you. Chris Wickens, AJ Lowe, Connie B, thank you so much. That's right, Connie B. If you're here, you survived a pandemic. That's pretty amazing. Shelly S, Patty Olson, Aisha, Ann Rudd, thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's see, Ann G, Kieran Conroy, Roxanne M, Chris Wickens, T. Jones, Shelly S, Melissa Miller, Sarah Marcus, Between Worlds, B. Sullivan, Vicky K, Indivisible San Francisco, Melissa F, Sparky again, Angie, Liz L, Pat BWI, thank you, Rebecca Rios, oh, thank you so much, T. Jones, Connie B, thank you, Desiree W, Cynthia Pierce, Brenda Rendon, thank you so much. Kimmy G, Lisa Berriesa, Sue Ellen S, Patricia Francino, thank you so much. Samilia Bankel, Sweetie Darling Lulu, Leslie Tangi 0906, LL, Liz L, Annie G, or Ann G, sorry, Ann G, love you too. Jamie Johnson, Carol Gallagher, Spirit Made Me Do It. Hi, Marcy, Debbie, Carol Lamb, Palma Stevens, Lily Rose, Sweetie Darling Lulu, Shelly S, Lisa Doble, M, Don Broadbent, Renee Leggett, Squadio Data MJ, Patty Olson, Paulette Riddle. I'm so glad you like the club. It's a favorite thing of mine too. I love it. Virginia Jones, Karen Conroy, Francie, Heather J.M., Sarah Marcus, Craig Dixon. Thank you. LL, Lucretia Valdez, Christine B.R., Deanna 1111, Linda Sherrill, Shelly S. Getting down here, Prince Charming's mom, Dan Artist Painter. Thank you so much, guys. Sherry Boire, David Mackham. Thanks so much. Shelly S. Tracy Marsh. Oh, I'm so glad that your sleep isn't distressing anymore. I'm so glad. That makes me happy. I'm so glad that helped. That reading helped. T.G. Renner, Mountain Sunshine, T. Jones, Jamie Johnson, Craig Dixon again, Irene A., Carol Gibson Wilson, Jess R., Shelly S., Christine VR, here Luca. Luca's bothering me. sometimes the cat will block Luca and he'll get stuck because he's a gentle boy and he doesn't want to hurt the kitty, so he just starts to bark. Okay. Delphi Love, David Meckham again, Bob Reynolds. Thank you, everybody. There's little Luca in the background. If you can see him, which way do I go? He's kind of his little tail bobbing around. So, and Hugger Greeter TK. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. I'll see you in a couple weeks for the next Thursday Night Live. You can join us Sunday. We will be there. Oh, we're doing the prayers to prayers for healing for the 50 states to the election. So at the end of the Sunday show, I'll come back on a different link that I put up, and we're doing kind of like a healing. It's just 2 minutes, and we focus on a couple of states, 2 or 3 states. And this week we're going to do Texas. We skipped 1 week last week, and but we're back in this week, and we're going to do Texas. So if you're in Texas, worried about Texas, you can show up and do that. And that will be usually about 2:15, 2:20 Pacific time on Sunday. So if you want to take part in that, please do. And if you aren't there live, that's okay. Go in and do it later. It's all good. All right, everybody. Oh, and now more people are here. Melissa A.H. and Delphi Love and Donna Hensley. All right. Okay. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.